Inhale, Bhujangasana. Exhale, lower. Stay here. Inhale, down dog. Exhale. On your inhale, step your left foot forward, right foot forward, forward fold.
Inhale, halfway up, flat back. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, sweep the arms up, reach past your fingertips. And exhale, bring the hands to God.
Right on, right up, right on,
You
right
guys can
on.
go on to classical salutations. No problem.
Yeah, we're. I threw an extra breath there.
feel
We
like
all
it's-
had a different style,
Yeah.
but I kind of liked it.
I feel like it's harder when it's broken picking up somebody else's
Yeah,
breath
it
and
is.
moving
Well,
on and
see,
doing it all.
It's, don't tell our trick.
Yeah.
We start a little harder, and then when you got to do it all yourself, it's like, oh, this is so much easier. And what happens is when you're listening to somebody else, you get so relaxed
Yeah.
and do it, and then you're like,
Yes.
wait, I got to do something
Yeah.
now.
I think my brain's melting.
So did you notice how when your teacher is in a forward fold and they're trying to give you directions, that it's quieter, right? So that's what you have to be aware of, is you don't want, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but as a teacher, you don't want your students to have to go, what is he doing?
Yeah.
Right, like that. You know, so you really have to practice talking upside down. Practice saying something when you're in that forward fold, or if you know that that's a difficulty for you, you say it at the top before people do it, and then you do it, so that you balance that out. So your poses you want to be aware of that are, you know, ones that we do a lot: downward facing dog, up dog, your Uttanasana forward folds. All of those are going to be ones where you want to give your direction first, or when you have your lungs full. And then when you run out of air, it's not as big of a deal. And people aren't straining to see you. A lot of times when I'm here, I'll go inhale, you know, halfway up, exhale, forward fold. I'm still here. Bend the knees, hands to the floor, step your feet back. Okay? Anything to add about that?
I often will, if the room isn't breathing very well, I will often point out to people, what if you had to carry on a conversation while you were doing this? So can you find your breath by, we've made you guys expel, talk in the middle of something. And that can actually sometimes stimulate the room to humor and not be quite so serious.
It's like, if you watch any of the singing competition shows where they make them go on the Stairmaster and sing at the same time, it's the same idea. Or if you're like trying to walk or run, jog, and talk to a friend at the same time versus be.
Yeah, I can do yoga and talk, but I'm terrible at hiking. It's like I can't chew gum and talk at the same time. It just doesn't work.
So you guys did awesome. I feel like you know the parts. Does everybody feel comfortable going through with the whole thing, start to finish? Sure. Yeah.
Individually, I mean the whole.
Yeah. One person. Someone. Well, you're rocking it. So go, girl. Okay. Okay. Let's do it. If you get stuck, oh, I love it. If you get stuck, if your friend gets stuck, then someone step in and do the next pose. Okay? Be your back.
You.
Yeah.
Okay, if you end up doing it in harmony,
Have your back.
Have your back.
Exactly. Have her back.
Always yes.
Yes. And, all right, step to the top of your mat. Inhale the arms up, reaching past the fingertips. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up, flat back, look up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, step the left foot back. And then the right foot into downward dog. And then exhale into plank. Or it's supposed to be plank and then exhale.
Inhale and inhale into plank.
Inhale to plank.
Want to go ahead, popcorn?
Inhale, plank. Exhale, down to the floor. Okay, you can pick it up from there.
Inhale into cobra. Exhale, lower yourself back down. Inhale yourself back up into downward dog.
I want to just point out, while you're in down dog, go back to your being on the floor, Janice, and do that again, because remember, I want everybody to hear what happened to her voice. She was looking at the floor when she said
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inhale. Inhale yourself back up into downward dog.
there was resonance when she was pointing, her face was at the floor. So
Are you recommending that?
Well, what it is, it's just I want you to notice, this is what happens, is you can hear these differences.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see now. Which was it, right or left? I think.
You step with the left.
Inhale yourself, stepping the left foot between the hands, and then bring the right foot up into Uttanasana. And then exhale into Uttanasana. Inhale, flat back, halfway up. Exhale, forward fold Uttanasana. Inhale, sweep the arms up, reaching past the fingertips. And exhale, bring the hands forward.
Yay! Good job. Don't let yourself get caught up by the breath. If it's not driving to say inhale, exhale, because it can be weird because you are breathing at a different time when you're teaching it than when you're doing it. So if it gets weird for you, don't let that be a hook. Tell people, breathe, and then you just talk them through the poses. I didn't teach people with the inhale, exhale for like 3 years before when I was teaching yoga. It's okay to teach the pose as long as somebody's breathing. They're not doing it wrong.
Okay.
If they pass out, they're doing it wrong.
But I'd like to work up to that because I love the way that you're so calm when you do it. You're so clear about every step. And there's always the breath. And for me, the breath
is important. But remember, don't let it get caught up. Don't get caught up in it. You can still do it. And maybe you start with it's inhale up, exhale down, inhale up, exhale down. Okay. And then maybe you skip it for a couple poses while you're getting used to it. You know, like the down dog, you're not saying the breath because that's a confusing part. And then you step forward and you, inhale, flat back, exhale, let it go, inhale, come up. So it's okay for it to grow.
I call them quarter salutations, half salutation, and full salutation. Because you can actually break up the salutation into pieces so that people can find that rhythm with those pieces. And even for yourself, it'll help you find that rhythm, especially when you first start class.
Yeah. And then Tadasana, hip feet together or hip width apart. Inhale the arms up. Exhale the arms down into forward fold. Inhale, half look up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, step the right foot back, left foot back, and lower down to Chaturanga. Inhale, Cobra up dog. Exhale down. Inhale to downward dog. Inhale, step the left foot forward, right foot forward, into forward fold. Inhale, half look up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale the arms up. Exhale the hands to heart center.
Wow. Great projection. You have great projection. I mean, I could hear every word that you said. You enunciated every word. It was clear. I understood what you were saying. The volume was great. I could tell that as a studio, I don't like saying owner. I say like I'm like an instigator, a studio instigator. I feel comfortable. I could put you in a class with 50 or 100 people, and you're going to be able to. The person in the back is going to be able to hear you, and that's awesome. It's awesome when you've got like you're just like, there you go, baby. You know. So that's awesome. That's awesome. You want to hold on to that for sure, and have that. That's also really important when you're teaching outside, as Anton can tell you, because you need to really be able to project that voice, and you did that beautifully.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice. Wow, I get the chills. Okay, Anton.
Wait, I'm gonna stop this.
Yeah.
Did you see what happened again? With the colors?
You guys are all like,
Oh
you
my
guys
gosh,
are all
that's
wearing
funny.
teal and black here. You weren't there. Wait, yeah, no, you did.
Yeah,
But the purple. You did the purple.
Now we're doing the teal.
You did
I
the
love
teal.
it.
I did everything.
Oh, there you go.
You did.
Okay, I just
And
wanted
gray.
I just
Yeah.
want to say that.
Just two different shades.
I'm like, wow, what did we do wrong?
We're already
I know. You are. You are. I have a teal headband today.
There you go.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it.
That's great. Also, do you notice if you're thirsty right now?
Oh,
Be
yeah.
aware of that.
I had to get water today.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're thirsty, when you articulate,
Mhm.
there's lots more passing through there. It's quiet, yeah.
Yeah, let me just open it so we get some
It's
fresh air.
like at 85 degrees.
Right. Come to the top of your mats. The mountain pose. And inhale, bring your arms up. Exhale down into forward fold, Uttanasana. And inhale into parallel. And exhale back into Uttanasana, or forward fold. And step back with your left foot first, right foot, then into plank. Lower yourself down into Bhujangasana. Push yourself up into Bhujangasana. Oops. Lower yourself back down. And push yourself through into downward facing dog. Look between your hands and hop or step between your fingers. Exhale into forward fold. Inhale into parallel. Exhale back into forward fold. And reverse swan dive all the way back up. And bring your hands into your heart center, prayer mudra.
Good job, Anton. Nice. Nice. You have such a commanding voice. That low voice. You know, if they took a class from you, you'd be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do it.
I've always been told I'm too loud, so sometimes I feel like I have to back off. But,
I think I thought that volume was appropriate
Okay.
for the setting,
okay,
especially since we're practicing projecting.
okay.
Yeah, no, I thought that was fine. I really like how you went for using some of the Sanskrit names of the poses,
Okay.
which is fabulous because again that connotates a knowledge of the subject,
Mhm.
which is great. And it's great even if you choose not to use all of the Sanskrit words, that people just have a little bit of awareness. They hear a couple of the things at
Yeah.
least, right? Good
Well,
job.
going into forward fold, I feel like there's a little bit of time to say both.
Yes,
sometimes
there is.
too, the forward fold or
Uttanasana. Yes, there is. And that's one of my favorites. Because I feel like it's easy to remember because it's like somebody punches you in the gut. Ooh, Uttanasana.
That's an easy way to remember.
Exactly. Ooh, Uttanasana.
The velvet.
Yes.
Okay, let's step to the top of our mat. Ground your feet. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a breath. Shoulders, roll your shoulders back just a bit. Back down. Inhale up. Hands to the sky. Forward fold. Exhale. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, hands to the floor, bend the knees, left leg back, right leg back. Plank. Inhale here. Exhale, lower to the floor. Inhale, roll up, open the chest, up dog. Exhale, to the floor. Inhale, down dog. Exhale here. Inhale, left foot forward, right foot forward. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, swan dive up. Reach to the sky. Hands to the heart. Exhale. Namaste.
Very good.
My voice went away.
I feel like,
Your voice is relaxing.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You're restorative a lot.
One thing I really liked, of just even from the beginning, is you weren't a one note with, is it you, is it me, is it us? You said, I think you said, let's come up to the front of our mat, and then you said, inhale your arms up, right? And I really like that. That's something that shows that's a more aware way of teaching, is that it's not, all us, that this is, again, your practice, and I'm directing you how to do something. I'm going to do it too, but I'm directing you. So I really like that. I was like, when you said, let's step to the front of our mat, I was like, uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. And then you went, inhale your arms up. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
Okay.
It was perfect. Cool. Yeah. Really great. Awesome job, guys. That's awesome. Everybody did awesome. You did awesome.
I
Okay.
didn't even have to
You didn't have to yell at
I didn't
anybody.
have to yell at anybody.
She's always yelling. There's always
You're always like,
Come
Yell.
You guys are built to communicate. I
Yes.
just want to really
Acknowledge that. It's awesome.
sink into your head as you're built to communicate. You guys are natural at it.
Yeah. Totally.
Don't let that, don't put a tap on that. Let that come to you.
So, the difficulty with then adding a lunge is that you have to remember which foot you're going back, which foot's coming forward, that sort of thing, right?
Question.
Yes.
They all did that for this, right?
Correct.
When they were stepping back, I just realized I always step back with the same foot.
I did that this time. I think you step up to the left, and I should have started with the right.
Right.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
In your own practice, the things that I recommend is if you always fold your right thumb on top of your left thumb, as soon as you realize you're doing that, change it. Right? So just change the pattern as you notice it. And then the other things will be easier to change the pattern on, because all of a sudden you'll be like, wow, this doesn't feel like my hands. This is very different. Your attention and your breath will be in a different place. And there's all kinds of little things you can do to help change your pattern. And as soon as you realize you've said right leg, it's how to bring it back so that you step up with the left leg. It's like, see if you can keep that in your consciousness. Because in the middle of class, it's like you don't want to go, oh. What have I done?
Well, in 3 Namaskar 8 doesn't really matter.
Right.
It's
Not
just when
really.
you get into your lunges.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, in A, you would hypothetically jump back, in which case it would be both feet at the same time. Where you want to be aware is, and as people are building strength and flexibility to do that, why I love this step the right foot back, step the left foot back, and then doing the opposite way, is that at least that keeps the body balanced right side to left. But that's not a direction I ever even heard of until like a year ago, was the telling people which foot to step back, because I always said either hop or step your feet back. So it doesn't say right or left. So the next is adding the lunge and the inchworm. So if you get your flyer, it's number C series.
Oh,
So it's C series. So the C series in this one, in the handout that we're learning right now, does not have a flat back lookup. So you don't do the flat back lookup. Instead, you step 1 foot back to lunge, then you step the other foot back to plank. You do knees, chest, chin to go through your inchworm. Your butt stays up in the air. Inhale, pull through, up dog, sphinx, whatever. Exhale, downward facing dog. Then the opposite lunge side. So if your right foot is forward first, you'll be saying step the left foot back. Once you're in down dog, you'll say left foot forward, right?
Whatever, when you step back, you want to
We
step
step that
forward.
one forward.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's like, for me, I always have to go right first because I do right hand. So I always do right foot back, right foot forward. And then I always know my second time I'm always going to do left foot back, left foot forward because I am such a creature of habit with that. Again, no flat back lookup. And then forward fold coming up to standing. Okay? For the lunges, this is where there's also variation of the knee could be on the ground or the knee could be lifted. Variations of the hands would be to the ground or to the front knee or up to the sky. Okay? So let's do it. Like you guys are rocking. Let's just keep it going. Okay?
Has anybody practiced that one verbally?
No. It's okay.
I was practicing the inchworm down, trying
That's
to
what you say,
incorporate it
inchworm?
into the
You say knees,
A.
chest, chin.
Yeah,
That's the other way of doing
but
it. Some people do knees, chest, nose, because this,
too stressful.
for people that have cervical injuries, this is tough. Right.
Gotcha.
So it may just have to be knees, chest, nose, and then flatten the whole body into the ground, energize the legs, cobra.
And it's Ashtanga Namaskara is inchworm. You want to use the stands with me? No. She's like, knees, chest, chin.
Yeah, I'm sticking with that one.
So we'll do popcorn again. We'll have everybody's back and we're just going to go through it. Right? Yeah.
Popcorn.
Popcorn.
When you're like, okay, someone help me out. Help me out. Okay? Come to the front of your mats. Go for it. Do it to it. And then after we do that, we're going to play a game.
So, you want me to talk you through it first?
Once? Do you want one? You guys can go for
Let's
it.
try it.
Go for it.
Yeah, go for
I
it.
say we should try it.
You should go for it. It's like you're just
I don't care if I say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's just here. It's just us here.
It's special when you
We're your
stop.
fans. We're safe.
We're gonna suck, might as well suck here.
Exactly.
Before we
Exactly.
suck in the class.
Exactly. We got it. We got
Before you're
it.
in front of hundreds of people at the
Yeah.
yoga festival.
Exactly. Exactly. 2015's featured teacher. Go. Look at this. I love this.
You want me to start again, or?
Yeah, you're starting at number C series, and you're just going to go through the whole
I'm
shebang.
gonna go until I can't
Can't
remember
go.
anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, okay. Inhale, arms up to the sky. Reaching past your fingertips. Exhale, forward. Inhale, halfway up. Flat back.
No artist.
Oh, no, that's right.
Yeah.
Popcorn.
Forward fold. Inhale, left foot back. Lunge. Okay. Go. Go back. I'm throwing it back to you.
All right, so
No.
do we put the hands up?
You may, or you can give the direction, hands stay on the floor,
Okay,
or hands to your knee, or hands rise above,
okay.
or arms rise above.
Hands to your knee. Inhale. Exhale, step your right back foot back into downward dog. Inhale into plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale into cobra. Exhale, back in. Inhale yourself into downward dog. Upward.
Inhale, left foot forward. Drop the right knee. Inhale up to the knee, hands on the knees, stretch here. Exhale, hands to the floor. Step the right foot forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, upward salute. Flat back, hands to the side. Exhale, namaste.
Ah, those voices got quiet.
Oh, I'm
still going.
Very nice.
Shall I give you a round? Let me give you a round. And you can always do the so hum if you feel like it. So bring your hands up to your heart, through the legs, extend through the back, and the top of the head. Be conscious of your breath. Notice the barrel, ribs spreading, chest spreading, the arms spreading. As you move into the next inhale, unfold, reach, extend yourself. Exhale, fold, fold. Just a moment in that forward fold. Right foot will step back, left leg will stay forward. Lunge. Hands to the floor, to the knee, or up above. Exhale, folding down, stepping that left leg back to downward facing dog. And then come into plank, inhale. And exhale, knees, chest, nose. Squeeze your body against the floor. Inhale, open the cobra. Exhale, release it. Slide the hands into the shoulders, toes tucked under, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg steps forward, left leg. Arms to the floor, to the knee, the butt. Exhale, forward fold, drag that back leg forward. Exhale, all your breath out. Inhale, unfold. Hands back down. The hardest part is to think about beginning, middle, and end. That's the hardest piece of it is allow yourself to start and don't hesitate to take the time to collect yourself.
That's why I always throw in a breath here and there. Stay here.
Yeah, stay in that pose.
Yeah.
What did
Make me feel good.
Jump out next. Excuse me.
Okay. Stand into Tadasana. On the next inhale, bring your arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, step the right foot back into lunge. Knee could be down or up. Hands to the floor or on the knee. Hands to the floor. Step the left leg back into plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale to cobra or up dog. Exhale down. Inhale to downward dog. Exhale, step the left foot forward. Oops. Is that the same one?
Right leg comes forward, left leg stays back.
Knee could be up or down. Hands could be to the floor or on the knee. Hands to the floor. Step your right foot forward into forward fold. Exhale. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, hands come to heart center.
Nice, good job.
You
Get
guys,
stuck.
you guys are so capable. That's why I'll bring up the little thing about that alternate foot. I'll bring that up because
Did I do the wrong? Did I do the
what
wrong
it is
one?
is you did right leg back, and then you did.
Oh, I did,
right
huh,
leg, yeah,
that's
you did
right.
right leg back
So it's
first.
the same.
So you
not
want
the
to
same as two one.
alternate that
That's
other leg
right.
coming forward, and I want to do that while you're in the middle of it because then your brain will go check.
Okay, yeah.
You may need it a couple of times, but you guys are so articulate that I want to put that in and make sure that you kind of do absorb
So if it's the right leg back, it's going to be the right leg forward. Gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you get that
I
lunge
have to
on the
remember
other
that.
side.
Because
You want that lunge
It
on the
makes
other
it seem
side.
like it is the opposite
But
leg. You're
it's
like, I did
not.
right, I did that.
Yeah.
Okay. Come to the top of your mats. Inhale, hands up. Exhale down into forward fold or uttanasana. Hands to the floor. Step your right leg back into lunge. And you have your hands on your knee, up in the air, behind your back on the sacrum. You get a chest opener. Go ahead and put your hands back on the floor. Step that left leg back into plank. And gently lower your knees, chest, chin, nose to the floor. Keep your elbows into your ribs and push up through into cobra. Lower yourself back down and push through into downward facing dog. When you're ready, go ahead and step forward with your right leg. Hands on your knee, up in the air, or on the back, or chest opener. Hands forward. Go ahead and step that left foot forward. Fall into Uttanasana. And reverse swan dive up. And exhale into prayer mudra.
Right on. Good job, Anton.
My brain was like,
What's next? What's
Yeah.
next? What's
I
next?
keep trying to go into down dog after the lunge.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have muscle memory for some
So
reason.
please, it was like,
Citation is tough because it really does, it adds this one more piece. It just, it
Yeah.
adds this one more extra piece, but it eliminates another.
Right. All right, let's step to the top of the mat. Relax the shoulders, take a breath here. Find yourself grounded. On your next inhale, raise your arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold, flat back. Uttanasana. Inhale, left foot back. Drop the knee. Come up with a nice open chest. And breathe here. Exhale, forward. Stepping the right foot back in the plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, come up. Release the legs. Open the chest. Exhale, down. Inhale, push into the hands. Back in the down dog. Exhale here. Inhale, left foot forward. Drop the knee. Come up. Open the chest. Inhale and exhale here. Exhale, bring your hands to the front. Curl the toes. Step your right foot forward. Forward fold. And your next inhale, come up. Hands to the side. Okay. Hands to the heart. Exhale. Namaste.
awesome. Yeah, awesome. Well done. Well done. Very, very good job. Okay, now we get to play a little game. So Lisa Ann, you can't
Don't sit down.
go sit down. So one of the fun things that Lisa Ann and I like to teach is bossy voice. So we went over this a little bit in class, on the online class on Monday, and this is the difference between putting a period at the end of what you say and a question mark. So it's the difference between the intonation going up versus down. For example, step your right foot back, or step your right foot back. And bossy voice is what Antoine has naturally. It's a low register. It's a low voice with a period at the end, and it's what you would direct a child who's misbehaving. Sit down, right?
I say it all day.
She's the pro. So this is the fun part. You get to boss Lisa Ann and I around with your bossy voice as practice, and you can have us do anything that is safe. So, you are used to doing bossy voice all the time?
Does it have to be a yoga pose?
No.
Okay. Touch your nose. Raise your right foot. Put it down. Hands by your side. Breathe. In and out.
The breathe is funny because when you said breathe, you went back to the yoga voice.
Yeah.
You were like, breathe.
Because
I can see his face going.
That's cool though, because that's how you can actually
Take the tension out of the room a little
you
bit.
can take, and you can take the tension out of yourself. You can use the bossy voice because they want to know you're a pro. So you're telling them what to do, but then you can be your mother, or a nice father. And you go, I'm not breathe. Sit it out. I like that. That's really special.
Yeah. Anton.
I want you to dance. Now stop. Hands against the wall like you just got arrested.
I got pulled over last night.
Oh, sorry.
Memory.
Wow.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
That was so funny. I go, look, it's cold out. You guys always shine your lights too bright. And the guys were like,
Bossy voice.
Oh.
to the bottom of the hill, right from a block from my house. I was
Oh.
like you have to be kidding.
Yeah.
Was I drinking?
Yeah.
I was like,
funny.
no, the pollen is itching my eyes, and I'm trying to
Yeah, and those lights are really bright.
Yeah.
Lisa Ann's used bossy voice on the top.
I used a bossy voice. I actually said to them, I go, look, I have cryoglobuline anemia, and I was wearing thongs, and it was 47 degrees out. And I go, my fingers and my hands are going to start to actually turn white, and they're going to freeze up, and can I get my jacket?
Nice. I'm surprised you asked. You're like, I'm gonna get my jacket.
They didn't let me, but he was like, they're standing there like, we're just checking.
Oh,
It's 1:30 in the morning. They don't have anything to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh. Spin around, strike a pose. There we go.
Next.
Sit down.
Sit down.
She's like, yes.
Arms up. Shake them out.
You got a good bossy voice,
Nice.
girl.
4-year-old. He's in every second of the day.
I'm miserable.
No, and she's not a stop, so she's not about to.
Oh, stop. Relax and breathe.
As long as you breathe now with that relaxing voice.
Breathe.
Nice.
Okay.
Lean to the left. Lean to the right. Stand up.
Now!
Stand up.
Nice.
Sit down. Fight.
Nice.
Good job. Good job. That's fun. So let's do another game. One more game, and then we'll take a break.
Secret Santa.
Don't let your friends see what you're doing.
I'll fold it in half after you look at it.
Now, you have to teach one of the sun salutation sequences while doing what your word is, okay? And then everybody has to guess what your word was. Okay? Okay? You got it?
We can't say the words.
You can't say the
We
words.
just have to do it.
Well, no, you're going to teach the words and do it at the same time.
Do the
Do
action.
the action.
It's an
Oh, I
action
see.
that's on
Okay.
this page.
So we're teaching it and
In that way.
Got it.
In that way. Okay? Who's
Teaching and what?
Don't say it.
In that way.
In that way. Who's going first? Who's ready to do it first? You okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw you guys did this on Monday and I was like, oh wow. Arms up over the head. Exhale your arms down. Inhale to halfway look up. Exhale to forward fold. Step your right foot back. Step your left foot back. In plank. Lower down to chaturanga. Inhale to up dog or cobra.
Nice.
Exhale down to the floor. Inhale, step back or go back to downward dog. Step your right foot forward, step your left foot forward, and then forward fold. Exhale. Inhale your arms up, and exhale your hands to one side.
Who's guessing? What was it?
Singing.
Yeah.
Melody.
Yeah, perfect. Really nice. I was like, when you said the one where you said lower down to chaturanga, like it made me smile.
Yeah.
Like the way you said it made me smile. I was like, yeah. The power of your voice. The power to make people feel something by the tone or by adding something lighter, reaching up, or adding something where people feel a connection going down. You know, Lisa, and I think they're having problems getting around your car. Are they doing okay? Yeah. Or feeling grounded, rooting the feet to the ground. You want to have that range. Has anybody taken a class where the person is monotone, either yoga or, you know, always the same thing? It's really hard, and if you're monotone, it's hard to have that influx, the fluctuation in your voice. But singing it, practice helps. Who's next? Okay.
Everybody step up to the front of your mat. Raise your arms up to the sky. Bend down from the hips. Now we're going to do what the homeboys do. We're going to come up halfway, flat back, and then we're going to come all the way down. Now get ready to step your right foot back. Step the left foot back in the downward dog. Breathe.
Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, yo, now, bro. Now we're going to move into plank. Plank, and then move down into chaturanga. Inhale up, then back down, downward dog. And then we're going to step the right foot back into the front of your mat. Then the left foot comes up into Uttanasana. Then inhale up in the flat back like you just did a minute ago. Get back down to the ground. And then bring it on up all the way to the top. Bring those hands back into prayer position.
Nice. Yo, yo, yo,
Yo.
sister. That's a hard one. I had to challenge you a little bit on that one. Right on. Right on. Right
So
on.
what was it?
teaching. I was in
Okay,
back,
yeah.
and I was like, I'm going to testify.
Gosh.
Who's next?
Oh, I guess it's me. Oh.
No bossy voice,
I
right?
know, right? Okay. Stand into Tadasana. And you're going to reach the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, left foot back. Exhale, right foot back. And lower to Chaturanga. Inhale, Bhujangasana. Exhale to the floor. If you have a breath, go into down dog. And left foot forward. And right foot forward. Inhale all the way up. And exhale, hands to the heart.
There could be one of two things.
What's the guess?
Fluctuating pitch of some kind.
The questions?
Mousy. I don't know.
Giggly?
Giggling.
Oh! I thought it was you naturally.
You're so natural at it. It sounded natural.
It was hard.
Keep in mind that, again, these things are actually icebreakers. I've had many yoga friends that are teachers just go, do sloppy practice. I want you to do this the sloppiest way you can. And so giggling made it a little sloppy.
And did you see what happened when she started giggling? We all started giggling too. It's like contagious, you know? Okay, I time.
I have to move my neck.
Oh,
He's gonna get fancy.
yeah, he is. I like it.
He wants to be surrounded.
What's this?
Silence.
Yeah.
Silence.
Yeah.
Amazing the different energy.
Yeah.
Right? It took from just, she was giggling between the poses, the silence, did you notice what he did? Is he emphasized his breath. So you knew
Anybody
when
else
he was
breathe
moving.
more?
It made I think, watching him, he's more powerful. It made me want to be a little more powerful in the pose.
Yeah, well, he does something. You lift your arms up before you do.
Yeah, it's kind of like a precursor.
Yeah.
Kind of. I felt like I was playing charades.
Yeah, it's a very different energy. I really like that. In my mind, I'm thinking, oh, if you could still plus like
Yeah.
that, because it would be, you know.
I've already thought about like if there's a deaf
Yeah.
person like in a class, how they would perceive
reflect the entire experience if they haven't done it before. You know,
Right.
the person doesn't know sign
But they
language.
wouldn't hear you breathing.
Yeah, exactly.
No, they wouldn't.
Yeah,
But he could go.
yeah,
He could flare his nostrils.
Yeah.
He could do something like that. I used to stage manage laserium shows up in San Francisco at the planetarium, and during the summers we did like 3-4 shows, and at the end of the day at 5 o'clock, the hall was still filled with people, children, kids, and this one kid was like running around and he had problems, and he was like, "Ah!" And I went up to him and I was like, because I could tell that other people that were with him, he was deaf. So I went up to him and I went like this. I'm the stage manager, and I was like,
Nice.
and it was so funny because the girl that was handling the tickets and dealing out the tickets, she was like, "Aren't you embarrassed?" Like, no, because he shut up.
Yeah.
I conveyed what I wanted to convey to him. And it did stop him in his tracks, and he was like, nobody's ever done that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, sometimes you have to step outside those boundary lines and explore how you want to convey something to somebody that may not get it, may not do the best that you can. Oh gosh, I had another experience with somebody. It'll pop back into my head, but it had to do with an injury or something, and or an illness that they had. Oh, that's what it is I had a woman come into class, and she had spina bifida, so she had 2 leg braces on and shoes on, and you know, I'm so hurt when I don't know somebody. I will actually just sort of like, I will be an authoritarian figure just because I don't know what else to do, and it just comes natural. And I remember going up to her and just like, I go, normally we take our shoes off, but she was going to be wearing her shoes because the braces supported the lower half of her leg, and her shoes were part of the braces. And I ended up having a really fabulous reporter. She came to me for massage work because nobody had ever been that straightforward with her about acknowledging that she is completely different from everybody else in the room. And she, you know, it was like a really interesting dynamic to have, you know, be so blatantly rude, because some people will perceive that as rude, but I'm like, I'm grabbing the issue right by the collar and going, what is this about? And just like, you know, trying to like understand, you know, because I'm you know, there's 12 people in the room, and I want to get to the bottom of this right now, because she'd never been in class before. And I was like, I have to really like grab this by the collar and just like, tell me more right now. Even if I embarrassed myself, and like, normally we take our shoes off. I actually said that. And I really had this like perplexed look on my face. Like, wow, I was like, I haven't done this before.
Well, how did you solve the problem? Did you chair
She
yoga
just,
her?
no, she actually was perfectly articulate with her body. She knew how to pick up her leg and move her leg. She'd done yoga before, but it was just like, it's like if you've never seen it, you don't.
How does it work?
How does it work?
Yeah.
How does this work? You know, and you know, it was magical to realize that if I stayed in my power, she would stay in her power, and that we built this almost silent rapport, because people don't usually talk back to you when you're in class. There's certain types of people that will like, they'll be in the pose and they'll be like asking questions and mumbling, you know, and you'll be like, and you'll try to answer them in one-word sentences.
Yeah.
Just breathe. My favorite one is like, where am I supposed to feel this? I go, where do you? And so I put it back on them, so that they have to pay attention to where do they feel this. So yeah, it was interesting. That was another moment.
So let's take a break. Bathroom, snack, water,
It'll probably be
check your text messages. Anything else that your heart desires, take a moment, and then we'll meet back here and go into our second phase of class. Very well done, everybody. Amazing.
Fabulous.
Really good. Are you heading to Amangela's, Lisa Ann?
I'm gonna go peek in there and see what's
Okay.
going on.
Yeah, I'm gonna get something to
Because I think I might just order giant salad. Do you want something?
I'm gonna go with you.
See how proud you
Mhm.
What can you drink? I really like that.
Yeah.
Which one? The cream?
Yeah.
Oh, the mango one?
I'm gonna go get it too as soon as I can find my shoes. Did you see any cheapo black flip-flops anywhere?
Mine are in the corner back there. I don't know if you're back there too.
Hi, Tammy. Sorry I missed your call. Oh, okay. Thank
You
you
guys
so much.
switched mats, so maybe you.
Yeah. I completely forgot to show you how to work it. I'm so sorry. Okay, how's he doing?
Probably camouflage.
Probably haven't talked to your mom, how classes went, huh?
Yeah, I talked to her. She said
Okay.
they were.
Well,
they
thank
were
you so
good.
much.
It's just such a when she goes through vinyasa right to restoration. You know, it's she's got a completely
Just
different
butter,
crew of
and it's in
people,
the
you know,
refrigerator.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
there's
just butter,
There's
yeah.
all these regulars, and does your mom go
All
to
right, thank
restorative?
you.
No,
Oh.
yeah, I don't go to
Okay.
restorative either. I just
Yeah.
do the vinyasa and that's it.
I've taken restorative for so long that that's so much easier. I could do that on the fly.
Yeah.
today,
Yeah,
you know.
I just today when I did my class, I did little bits and pieces of it, even like some Buddha and
I
stuff.
can't go anywhere because I can't find my shoes.
All right, we need to find your shoes.
I don't know what the hell.
There they are, under my purse.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
One place we didn't look.
Thank you.
But I did like a really short vinyasa. I did, you know, the parallel
Mhm.
and then down into the squat.
Yeah.
Just because you're on rocks and I didn't want to do any of the
you can't be
crazy
down
stuff.
dogs.
Yeah, exactly.
It hurts.
Yeah.
You can't get down on your knees because
Yeah.
you talk to
Yeah, I did the one knee down, one hand down, and then one knee up, one hand up. You know, just to.
Oh, you did do
Yeah,
that?
I did
Did
that
it like
one.
the knees
Well,
up?
I didn't have a mat though because I had to give mine up because some lady just didn't even bring a mat. She brought a towel and a dog bed. I was like, okay, you can use mine.
A dog bed?
Yeah, it's
does
like
that
one of
mean?
those rectangle like dog beds. That's what it looked like.
Oh, maybe she thought she was gonna sit in meditation?
I think so.
Oh.
Yeah, and just a beach towel. But everybody else brought like multiple mats and multiple stuff, and it's like, okay, if anybody's gonna be in pain, I guess it's just gonna be me. That's fine, you
So
know.
how long is the walk?
It's like maybe 8 minutes.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
it's not like it's,
It's not even like a real hike.
oh, okay.
We pull over, we walk up for like maybe 8 minutes, and then
And it's
everybody.
a nice flat area.
Yeah, flat. Some of it's kind of rocky, but like one of the ladies was getting bit by yeah, and it was very kind of just disturbing for me, like watching everybody, like some of the people were passing out in the back corner, you know, because everybody was so spread out, you know. And so I had to even do like a sound check for my voice at the beginning, where I was like, I went up front and I was like, can everybody hear me, you know?
Well, you have a great voice
Oh.
for that, but yeah.
Because there were people like way over that way and way over
Why would
that
they do
way
that,
to be
though?
closer to the shade, because there's no shade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is it a published schedule that it's always gonna be at 8 o'clock that time?
For the summer, it's 8:30 every Saturday morning over there.
And it has to be from that spot.
Yeah, and it's because of stupid permit crap. They couldn't get permits to do it. I wanted to do a hike and yoga at that, what's it called?
Discovery Center?
The one next to the Discovery Center down the interpretive trail, where you get to a spot, do a yoga pose, get to a spot, do a yoga pose, and then that way it's kind of
Uh-huh.
informational too with what's going on, so that then Discovery Center then can get more business too through that. And they didn't
How
want to
about-
do it because of permits.
Oh, yeah.
And Annalisa tried to get us to do Discovery Center, and they wouldn't let us do it there with a permit or something because of the donation thing. Right?
Yeah.
That's why. And then because they have insurance, they don't want somebody to get hurt, you know, doing something strange on the property. Yeah, it all comes down to, you know. Yeah, pretty much.
I'm gonna go grab myself a cookie.
Yeah, go for it.
Hey. Huh? Yeah, how come you, I thought you said you were going to check on me with the babysitter. She had called me, she couldn't figure out the TV, so her husband had to come and do the TV. She couldn't figure out the TV, and her husband had to come over and do the TV because I felt bad. It was in the middle of class, and it's a really interactive class, so it's not easy for me to check my phone. No, I already talked to her. All is good. Stone is good. She's gonna make him pasta and stuff for dinner, so we're good. Yeah, we've been doing a bunch of them. Good. Yeah. I had to do one singing too. I had to teach a sun salutation while I was singing. I had to sing it out. Interesting. Okay. I'll talk to you later. I'm in class. Everyone's just out. Okay.
Sounds like a brewery out there.
So it's a wine thing, right?
Yeah. You got a wine walk or something?
That's cool. I know when I drove down there, I was like, oh, maybe we could do yoga and wine.
There you go. One of the guys in my class this morning was talking about that. And they do like a restorative class where they'll drink wine and then do yoga. I'm like,
That'd be
like,
challenging.
Yeah, he's like, it's restorative. I'm like, okay, good. That would be a horrible mess.
How long is that going for? Is
I
it?
think it's just today and tonight, but it may be for tomorrow too. I'm not sure. I know the one in Lake Arrowhead's like a whole day thing with theirs.
When do they do theirs?
Usually it's towards the end of the summer, and it's kind of neat how they set it up. All the local people that have boats on the lake will pick you up at the docks outside by the resort, and you can get like a free boat ride across. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah, it's really neat. So, you know.
That's nice of them too. Most
Yeah,
people wouldn't do
I think
that.
they probably get donations or sponsors or something for it, but it's private boats. It's private people with it's really cool and it's fun.
Very cool.
It's like crafts and just like all sorts of wine tasting.
It seems like Arrowhead the way, because like before I lived here, I lived in San Clemente. And San Clemente is just a very small little community. They do lots of things. Like every weekend on the little downtown area,
Oh, right on.
they have like farmers market,
right on.
or they have like a car show, or they
Nice.
have this one thing in August. It's called the Fiesta.
Oh.
They shut down the whole street, and it's this giant party.
Oh, cool.
Beer, music, crafts, everything.
Right on. That's
Like
good.
a bunch of stuff for kids. Like it
Right
is
on.
awesome.
That's good.
So when we moved from that to this, I'm like, well, it's a small community here. They have to be doing something. I was shocked that Big Bear doesn't really do anything.
It's
And Lake
only
Arrowhead
been-
seems like they do a lot more, like the concerts and
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
We were gonna go last night, but we didn't make it out
Yeah,
there.
it's difficult, even though it is so close going back and forth to there. You think, oh, it's just right there, but then you think about the time frame and
Mhm.
just everything else, and you know, it's,
By the time that time of night, you're like, oh, I'm tired. I'm gonna drive all the way over
Exactly,
there.
it's like
Then we're gonna
that.
have some beer.
Yeah.
We're gonna drive back.
yeah, it's over at 9:30. That means I wouldn't get home till almost midnight. You know.
Oh, really? It goes till 9:30.
Sometimes, yeah,
Oh,
during
wow.
the summer they stay out later because they'll have like concerts like that'll go into nighttime.
That's cool.
Yeah, which
That's
is
really
neat.
cool. Is it pretty busy? Like super packed?
It for certain things they also have like a foreign film club too that does stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, and sometimes they get people to like set up like an outside digitally projected like thing and they do it like outdoors.
Like a movie thing?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, that's
Which is
awesome.
cool, yeah.
That is so cool.
Like one of the older ladies, I think she's like 83 or something, and she does not act like it. She goes to one of the yoga classes that I go to. She'll be there tomorrow. And she's like the head of the whole thing.
Mm.
And she'll get up at the end of yoga and be like, I have an announcement. You know, we're showing this film this week. And it's like, right on, lady.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Good for her.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, and it's funny because I've never even heard of Lake Arrowhead till
Oh.
we moved here.
Yeah.
And so we went and checked it out, and we're driving around. We're like, why didn't we move here?
Yeah.
Seriously,
It's-
because like Big Bear's beautiful, but
Mhm.
there's something about Lake Arrowhead that just I mean, it's a lot smaller. There's
Yeah.
less to do, but it just I don't know. It was beautiful,
Mhm.
and they really take care of it.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, they do the village here,
Mhm.
but it seems like parts of this town is just like gone to crap.
Yeah, the village up there is all owned by one owner, and they rent all the spaces out to
Mm.
different companies. Here, it's like somebody owns a building, one each individual like building, you know, kind of
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
going on. But there, it's like one company owns all of that whole thing, and they rent it
Gotcha.
out. So it's
Gotcha.
yeah, it's
So it's easier to upkeep.
that, and they can also probably kick people out who's not, you know,
Mhm.
for whatever reasons, and get new people in, their new businesses in. And there's been like 1 million restaurants in that place, you know.
Yeah, have you had papagayos?
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's American Mexican food.
Okay. Well, we were gonna eat there, and I was reading the reviews on Yelp, and I was like, "You suck." And then we walked in, nobody was in. I was like,
Yeah, their fish tacos are horrible.
"Oh, really?"
Yeah, I'm vegan, and I've been vegan for almost 1.5 years, and the last time I ate there, I was like, your food is just, I just wanted 2 fish tacos and some rice.
And
And
it
it
was
was just gross. It was
Oh.
like Del Taco was better, and I was like,
oh.
you know.
Dude, sometimes some of these Mexican restaurants, Taco Bell blows them out of the water.
Tony's in Lake Gregory is amazing.
Tony's in Lake Gregory.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, during the summer, they actually do Merlot slushies there. Yeah,
Seriously?
yeah,
Come on.
yeah, yeah.
Really? That's
yeah.
awesome.
It's so, and it's authentic, like Mexican food just down. I mean, it's amazing. Like it's,
Okay.
yeah, and you're gonna
Where's
play.
Lake Gregory? Where's that at?
Lake Gregory is a little ways down from Lake Arrowhead. If you follow the 18, it's the next lake down.
Okay.
And there's a big grocery store called Goodwin's on this side of the lakes here, and it's this awesome restaurant that faces the lake, like they're right.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
and they have
very
an
cool.
upper deck, and they have a bar.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and it's outside, but their Mexican food is just like amazing.
Okay.
It's so
We'll have to
good.
go try that, because
Yeah.
the Mexican food here is okay.
Yeah,
Like, we
it's
went
okay.
and had was it El Jalisco yesterday at the
Mhm.
village. I was surprised. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad at all.
Yeah, it's TONI, Tony's.
T-O-N-I. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to try that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we ended up in Blue Jay.
I
at,
went for Christmas a door stop.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Lake Arrow Bar.
That's how much.
Yeah, who's in
I
the one there?
know.
Yeah, we went and ate there. The food was really good.
You know, I think I
Well,
have like
the
a really
new ones
cool
there are really
hand carved
good.
one my
And,
sister gave me, but I can't
that
find it with the
Stone
move
Creek.
and everything.
That's down the road a little ways.
Now, where did you live?
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
They're good.
Is that good?
Well,
Yeah.
I lived
We
off
were
of
gonna go
North
eat at a
Shore and I
Mexican
moved to
place
Sugarloaf.
Oh, okay.
And it's right around the
Oh.
corner from the barn grill. What was
Mhm.
that?
I don't remember the name.
But it's like literally like a little hole in wall.
Yeah.
But it had a really good review.
Oh yeah, that's if you it's there's some good stuff hidden in there.
Pretty fun games.
Yeah.
I love those.
That was funny.
My favorite.
Very improbable.
Yeah. Totally. So, while we snack and we can chat. One thing I want to introduce at this point is your right and left hand. So everybody gets that when I say this is my right hand, it's not my right hand, right? I encourage you to start practicing being ambidextrous with your right and left so that you can face students, but you also can turn around and have your back to them. Now, how do I decide when I'm facing my students in instruction versus when my back? I like to have my mat sideways so that if I want to then have to face you and do right, left, I can, but I also can be sideways so I don't have to think about it. I can just say right, and we're all doing the same right, okay? I find that with beginners, it actually is many times easier for them if my back is to them, because then they literally are copying me versus mirroring me. So to me, now granted I can't keep an eye on them then, but if I turn around, then when I go, do something, they're just copying exactly what I do. When I have more intermediate students who have had in class, then I can go sideways, no problem with them. Facing them and having them mirror me, either I have to do the opposite hand, or I have to verbally tell them they're not following me. I'm not mirroring you. So you have to give those cues when you're at the front of the room, especially with students that are new to you, till they get to figure out how you're doing it. So you either say, where we did our beginning breathing, okay, we're ready to practice. I'm mirroring you. Take the right hand, put it down on the ground, inhale the left arm up. Or I say, I'm not mirroring you, or I'm not, take your right hand, don't copy me. You have to specify, put your left hand down.
Just listen to my voice.
Listen to my voice, exactly. You have to give them a cue so they know what you're doing. Unless you have your back to them and then they copy you and then you're fine, right? But you don't want to go through a whole class with your back to them, because then you're totally disconnected from what they're doing. I like to change my physical position. So we talked about changing our position in the room on Monday night's class. We talked about where the teacher's at the front and then I walk over to the side, or then I walk behind. We talked about that. But also, which way am I facing? I like to change it during my class. So I have what I like to do. I like to start seated, looking at everybody, so I'm connecting. I like to do my seated where I'm mirroring. Then when we go to cat-cow is when I turn sideways, right? Mm-hmm. So then they can see me from the side, and then I can go through my down dogs, and then I can go, and I can do it here, and then I don't have to stress out about am I right or left, because I'm not trying to do it facing them and saying this is my right leg. Does that make sense? Especially if I'm teaching a vinyasa flow class, it's going to be harder for me to remember which is right and left when I'm trying to do it all backwards and move quickly, okay? It's a basic thing, but just to start being aware of it. Just because your mat's a certain way doesn't mean your body, when you're teaching, has to be in that same direction, right? So I suggest that you start practicing. So I'm going to direct you at first, and then you're going to direct me and copy me. So everybody, I'm going to say raise your right hand, but you're really going to raise your left. Okay? Put your right hand down. Mm-hmm. Wiggle your right toes. Yeah. Stop wiggling your toes. Do a side stretch to the left.
Well, I think am I stretching my left side, or am I stretching toward the right? Okay.
To the left. Yeah. Do a twist to the left. Do a twist to the right. You get the idea. And release. So now direct me I'm going to be doing it the right way, and you're going to be doing it the wrong way, the backwards way. Okay, so let's each person direct me to do one thing, and then you have to do it the opposite way, right? Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Raise your right hand over your head. Lean to. I said the left hand, right?
You said right.
Oh shoot! I had it in my head, and I think my voice wanted to connect to my heart. Okay, try it again. Okay. Raise your left hand over your head. Lean to the right, and stretch. Lower the left hand to the knee.
Very nice, thank you. Anton.
Take your right hand up, put it on the left-hand side of your left ear, and pull it to the right.
That's a complicated one, yeah. Uh-oh, we got
Release.
50-50. You instructed me right. You instructed them wrong, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to do the wrong.
What he
side.
was doing, yeah, exactly.
So you do the opposite of what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Exactly.
Okay, so if I say twist to the left,
Okay, but you're twisting to your left, so
I'm twisting to my right.
I'm twisting to my right. Okay,
And then come back to
thank you. Okay.
Raise your right hand, your right hand, and your now raise your left hand. Bring your bring your left hand down. Put your right hand on the top of your head, then put your left hand on top of that. Then bring your right hand off the top of your head and put it down.
Yeah. Okay. So you want to practice a little bit because you will be in situations where you need to mirror people. And so it's a good idea for it not to be like totally foreign idea that you're saying the opposite and doing the opposite of what they're doing. The other thing is if you're ever teaching with someone as an assistant or a co-teacher, you want to be on the same page about what you're doing because it's really funny. I've had it happen because I didn't even think about it. You're here with the teacher and then you say put the right hand down and the left hand up and both of you are doing opposite things and all the students they look at you like, what are you guys doing?
The way that I practice mirroring, everybody has an engaging personality, but there are those days when you're actually having to engage with people that are you're not quite there. So to be really attentive to them, just look at them while they're expressing what they need to express, and then just think, my right arm. Their right arm. And just think about what you're looking at when you look at somebody. Their right eye, their left arm. When you engage with people and you ask them about injury, and they go, well, I have a left shoulder injury. So when you're looking at them, you're like going, a left shoulder injury. And it creates a way to embed the idea of mirroring without actually having to tell the person, raise your left arm in the air. They're just referring to you, and you're just going, left injury. You're mirroring back at them, your left arm, wow.
And one thing I want to point out about what Lisa-Ann said is she's saying it's your left arm.
Yeah.
It's your right arm. So you're not associating it with my right arm. It's your left arm.
Your left arm, wow. It's another way of being attentive and not necessarily having to prove that you can mirror people yet.
I think we do that without thinking. I mean, lots of times.
Or if somebody goes, yeah, this hurts, and we'll go like that.
Yeah.
But take it in a little bit, be more conscious of the fact that that's what you're doing. Is you're going, oh, wow, this hurts on this side.
So we're going to do a little game practice, nothing too intense. You're going to partner up with the person immediately next to you. Face them, and you're going to practice teaching each other while mirroring and directing them what to do. You're directing them on the wrong side. So you're each going to teach the other person 3 poses, both on the right and left side. You're going to do one is a side stretch, one is a twist, and one is a forward fold, but so you want to make sure you don't hit the person. Okay? So go for it. So one of you go first, and so you're going to be, so, you know, when Anton directs, he's going to say put your right hand down, but he's going to put his left hand down. Are you clear on it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Go. Ready, set, go.
Put your left hand down and put your right hand up and stretch to your left. And release.
You have to go both sides.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Okay. And put your left hand up and your right hand down and go to your right. That is hard. And release. Take your left hand and put it on your right knee. Put your right hand behind you and twist to your right. Release. Put your right hand on your left knee. And your left hand behind you and turn to the left. Put your left foot down, or put your right foot down, put your left foot on top of your right foot, and then come into a forward fold.
Okay, we'll just do it.
Put your right foot on top of your
I have to like,
leg.
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
And forward fold.
I was trying to reach out your left hand. Put your right hand down.
Your right leg down.
Left hand.
Put your left leg
To the right hand.
on top of your right knee.
Slowly, you know what?
Warrior 3, that was the only other thing. Warrior 3 was so left on the list.
Oh, right. I knew what was
It's really like it's a mind trick. It's a mind trick.
I know. You got raise your right arm. And we had tip to the left.
Raise your
We
left
didn't do the twist.
Raise
Yeah.
Here and put and have Kalamashwara, Baddha. Raise your left hand to your right knee.
Twisting
Bring your right hand behind you. Bring your right hand. Yeah.
Raise
So
your
one
right
hand you do
hand.
like this. Is that okay?
And
And bring the right. So now, bring your right hand to your left knee. Reach your left hand behind you. Twist to the left. You twisting to the left.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
And
didn't think about it.
center, bring your right knee. Now we're going to cross the legs. We're going to bring down for a moment. Bring your left foot into your thigh. Bring
Now
your
bring your
foot.
left
I've been doing this actually.
foot and put it on top of your right thigh.
Right on. Okay.
And
Almost confused myself.
the end.
Now.
I'm gonna finish that.
Now,
Bring your right hand on top of your left thigh.
so now Anton, turn around so you're back. You have your back facing your
Oh.
student.
Okay.
And now just teach one pose the other way. So now flip, so one person is the leader, and now teach it that way,
The proper way.
the proper way.
Okay.
Yeah, but just do one pose and then switch.
Okay. Take your right arm up.
Now you're
She's
teaching
I
it.
know.
Oh wait, we're all supposed to just do it?
No, probably Anton, why don't you guys turn this way so it's not so distracting? So Anton,
Okay.
come sit up here.
Okay.
Yeah,
There you
exactly, then you guys are fine.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
go. Okay, got it.
Okay.
Take your
Yeah.
right hand up
Take your left hand up
and then lean to your
and put your right hand down
left.
and go ahead and bend to your right.
Come back.
Come up
Forgot my right and left.
and release. Put your left hand down. Put your right hand up
Bring your left hand up,
and bend to your left.
bend to your right. And give it.
And then flip around.
There we go, that works.
Press your right hand on the floor. Reach your left hand over to your right knee.
And when we were driving, I was like,
Reach
turn left.
behind
My husband's like, you mean this left? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you said me. He's like, no, I don't.
Bring your right hand on your knee. Bring your left hand behind you and twist. Back to center. Release the right hand. Bring the left hand on the right hand on your okay.
Yeah. So this leads right into a continuation of our conversation that we had online, which is demonstrating asana. We talked a little bit about that, and I just want to tie that into some things that have already happened today in class. When Anton had to teach silently, did you notice what he did at first? He went, right? Pointing to what you want people to notice, right? So, Anton said she did that when you come to the front of the room, face the parking lot, and start in Tadasana. So I'm going to show you so that you have an idea of it. So I, as a teacher, can say, roll the shoulders back, stand in Tadasana, and then I can point where I want you to look and say, look at his ankles, lift your arches. Reach the fingertips down by the thighs. Let the shoulders roll back and down, right? So I'm not physically demonstrating it, but I'm using him and I'm pointing where I want you to notice and to look. I can point it on myself. So if I'm doing a side stretch, I can go, I'm in my side stretch, say, take my opposite hand, say, open up the side body. Send the breath to this area here so I can point it out to you. The other way is to do it and then show how to do it wrong. So please go into downward facing dog. And I use this a lot with myself and when I have assistant teachers. So I can say, see how his weight is into his legs and out of his arms. And I can say, Anton, do it wrong. Move your weight over your wrists. Even more. Just shift your weight forward. There you go. Okay? See how his weight is over the wrists. It's not evenly distributed between his arms and his legs. Now, Anton, do it right. Move your weight back. So people see the difference. Okay? I usually don't have students do it wrong, but I will have an assistant or myself. I'll demonstrate it wrong so they have a visual in their mind about how to do it. Okay? Lisa Ann, any tips about how you demonstrate or demonstration in front of the class?
Well, it's interesting. I had never thought of this as lateral. And in this book, there are lateral poses. And so I've been actually playing with that word, lateral bending, which is side bending, another word for side bending. And I think it makes it more three-dimensional when you have repetitious words that mean the same thing, and you can throw those words in. So pay attention to, are you forward folding, back bending, lateral bending, and what are other ways of expressing that?
Mm-hmm.
Because some people will hear, like another way of saying forward fold is collapse over your legs. That's another way of saying it. And there's nothing wrong with collapsing over your legs. But the way we hear it is you're falling apart, collapse over it. So again, it gives it gives a positive spin to words that don't necessarily have positive connotations to them. And I just had never thought about that until I started thinking about that this is not just a side bend, this is a lateral extension. Right? Just as this is a reaching extension, and then this is a forward contraction. This is actually a forward contraction because you are reaching and you're no longer extending. So it is interesting to like think about the anatomy words, because then you also teach people about their bodies from the point of view of anatomy. And it helps you when you start including some of those words also. It was just interesting that I just noticed that this is lateral. And I was like, this is really an interesting word, lateral. They use it in politics all the time and in business. I'm extending myself laterally. Business, I think, uses that word. So I'm extending laterally towards you. You know.
It's so funny that you say that, because here, this is one of my things, and this is true for corrections and direction. Never give up after repeating a correction 99 times. It usually takes at least 100. Nor will it be as likely to make sense unless you come up with 100 different ways of saying the same thing. Exactly what Lisa Ann's saying. So this is a benefit because, first of all, it keeps things fresh and a variation for people, so they're not hearing the same thing over and over again. But then also one word might really connect with someone that another word doesn't. So lateral might connect with someone, side might connect with someone, the rib cage might connect with someone. So finding different ways of saying something to try to communicate it, to keep it, you do want to be clear and concise. You're not necessarily saying you use the most flowery language in the world.
I don't think yoga actually necessarily lends itself to really flowery language, but you can make the language with the tone of your voice laterally extend yourself. It's like you can take these words and create a mood with a word that actually is really structural.
And it gives you different visuals.
Yeah.
And like for me, when we were doing the breathing, the barrel thing, really, that visual for me really, really helped me.
And I picked that up from Renee, because she started using language that day that I hadn't thought about. And I love language. I'm not necessarily a good writer, but I love hearing how somebody expresses something that is imagery, because when we think of our bodies, we don't see this lateral bend. We experience this bend. We experience this barrel shape. We don't see it. So that's that funny thing is you're teaching people to sense. And actually, I can't remember where it came from, but I remember reading somewhere, and it was a yoga book, and it had to do with, don't use the word feel, use the word sense. Because you are using several senses to be able to feel this barrel shape. You have to breathe into this barrel shape to sense that the skin is moving and that the bones are not just these stiff, inarticulate appendages. They're actually expanding and reaching out and away from the center of the body if you're going to become a barrel.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is, if you're going to get hung up on anything, get hung up on words that share a feeling for somebody. Because again, they ain't going to see it. They may see it in you, but that is not the same as them experiencing it in their own body.
So, before I forget, your homework for our next in-person class is to continue practicing instructing Surya Namaskar. Adding the ones with the lunges, and also everyone practicing singing the instructions and practice changing the sound of your voice to change the feeling of how you're going through the sun salutation. So practice once with a really low register, but very low, very authoritative. Go very high and floaty and flirty like a butterfly.
Does
Sing it.
anybody ever get on their mat and as soon as you get on the mat you just start sighing? Or you feel like sighing? Is do that. You know, don't stop yourself from that experience of making noise. You know, if you get up and you get down on the floor and you go into child's pose and all you can do is do that child's pose for 15 breaths, and every time you exhale there's this like don't hesitate to do that, because that also it lets your body know that you're listening. You know, that you're actually hearing that it's maybe more tired than you thought, or more fatigued than you thought. And then you can shift and put on some music that will shift you and change you, because that's the cool thing about yoga. Is sometimes I'll start, and all of a sudden I'll be like standing on my feet, and I was like, how did I get here? How did I get to this? And all of a sudden the music is making me, and I'm singing along, especially if it's traditional Sanskrit music or chanting. I'll be like, it's like really it's working for me. And it's so amazing how fast it can shift.
So we're going to practice demonstrating asana.
Thing.
And this is like the princess pink yoga mat.
Oops. Default.
So each person gets a turn to come to the pink mat and teach one pose. We're not going to do it with them. We're just going to watch. So the language would be my example. Everyone watch me. I want you to notice my neck and head position in this side folding pose. So I'm going to place my hand on the mat, reach my other hand up. What happens a lot is this. I'm going to roll my shoulders back and create lots of space for my head and neck. My upper hand is really reaching more up than over. Reaching up and then tilt over to the side, creating space in the side body. Reaching up through the fingertips, come back through center. Did you see how I left space for my head and neck? Right? So that would be an example of demonstrating the asana and pointing out something. So you can use that, or if there's something else that really resonates with you, the point is to practice teaching and showing a detail of that pose versus what we were doing going through vinyasa flow, which is like everybody going through it on their own, not stopping and looking at you. This is different. This is looking at you, and you're instructing to pay attention to something you want to point out. Does that make sense? Another example would be sitting up straight. You could say, does somebody have a you could say, everybody watch me. Most of us sit like this all through the day. And in yoga, we want to try to sit up straight. Now, many of us aren't able to do this flat on the ground, so we need to sit on something. So I'm going to take a block and sit on it, which helps me lift out of the low back and come more to an upright seated position. You see how my hips are under my shoulders? And this is where I love, we did this last Saturday, and where I ask you, is my shoulders directly over my hips? What about my earlobes? Are they over my shoulders?
Nope.
How about, no? No. Where?
Okay, stop. Bring your chin down just a little bit. There you go.
Okay? Get the idea? So it's where you're asking people to stop and pay attention because you want them to see something that you're doing, and then you're going to talk them through it. So those are two easy examples. Yeah? Who wants to go first? Okay. And if you don't want to, by the way, if you don't want to face people, because it can be a little bit like you're looking and people are staring at you, you can put your back to them and still demonstrate. So I could still demonstrate, here. Okay? Go, teacher.
Well, now that you said that, I'm not sure which way I should face. So I'm going to show you a seated twist. In a comfortable seat. I'm going to make sure my back is nice and straight. I'm rounded in my hips. I'm going to reach back my right hand. Oops.
No, that would be fine, because if you're demonstrating,
Okay,
then
they're not doing it. Okay.
Right.
I'm going to reach back my right hand. I'm going to press into this right hand. Straighten out just a little bit more. I'm going to bring my left hand over my right thigh here and slowly on my exhale twist my body so that I can bring my right shoulder a little further back toward the back wall. Ultimately, I want to have a parallel shoulder with the front. And then I slowly release.
Beautiful. Perfect. Yeah, exactly. Do you see? So she took the hand and showed where she was talking about. Obviously, that's not the yoga pose to have the hand like this.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, like your Vajrasana display. Perfect.
And I like how you reinforce the back is long.
Mm-hmm.
Twisting, I'm really big on this as of these last couple of months, is that you'll see people go into twists and they'll be, this whole upper back will be collapsed and they'll be twisting here, or they'll be pulling into the belly and then their neck will be all over. And more and more, because I like the concept of not aging this way. I like the concept of aging this way.
Yes.
I want my twists. I want to see my twists long through the whole torso. And if that means that my head doesn't turn very much and it's just my heart beating, then that's what it is. Because the breath is what needs a twist.
Who's next?
Okay. Coming into plank.
Do you want to direct them first? What are we supposed to be doing? You want to say, watch me, or I'm going to demonstrate, or here's what...
Just be like,
Zip it.
yeah.
Here. Now.
Check this out.
Use that humor. But this is that interesting thing, is that the masculine and the feminine, the teachers, we all embody them, but it's always really interesting when a man takes the floor and teaches something about the body, because that's not usually their MO. So when you can use humor, you relax everybody, because it's not normal to have men tell you about their bodies.
Okay.
It isn't.
It is not normal. Women talk about
They're
their
not
bodies
sensuous
all
beings.
the time.
They only rely on a couple of senses, where women are much more sensuous.
Yeah,
We work
Yeah.
with all of our senses. It's
yeah.
a very common thing that happens.
And so it's really interesting to have a man go, pay attention, you know, as if we're not anyway.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. So, I mean, more polite way? I mean,
It's
really
not-
kind of use that or
it's
just
not
whatever?
Please use
It's
that.
not
Okay.
necessarily, I'm not trying to say polite, but we're in a learning environment, and you need to, it's that, like, that thing is like, you have to tell us what you're gonna, what you want us to do, and then you're gonna do it.
Oh,
And then
okay.
you're gonna say, take a moment and look at me, or
Okay.
watch how the legs are in this pose. You want to
Pick one part of your body
Oh,
and,
okay.
and you know,
let us know what's
Let us-
going on.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so in plank,
Mhm.
some of you, if you're having issues in the plank pose, keeping your strength, it's not all through the shoulders and not always just in the biceps. You could use a distraction by pushing your heels to the back of the floor or to the wall and using that as more of like a deterrent for the actual core work, where you're still getting the core work and you can bring it forward again and then back.
Nice.
Good.
Good. Yeah.
Demonstration.
Nice. Nice. Yeah.
And that's a different part of your brain you're having to access
Yeah.
to describe just
Yeah,
how to pull it,
yeah.
you know, and so it makes you thoughtful
Oh,
in a different way.
Okay.
Just so you're aware of that. It makes you think differently and it makes you perceive your body differently because it's, again, it is not the norm for men to tell you about the experience they're having in their bodies.
Oh,
It
good.
is not the norm. But what's cool is when men do explain what's happening in their bodies.
Okay.
It's a really special quality and don't hesitate to define it.
All right.
Net. Come on, turn the words.
So everybody watch me. I'm going to demonstrate a bit about neck rolls. A lot of times when people get going with them, they don't take the care that they need to with their neck, and that's a very delicate and thing that you need to really be careful with because you can really crunch it and hurt it. So what you want to do is start by leaning your head to the, bringing your ear to your shoulder. And then slowly bringing your head down, coming around to where you're bringing your other ear to your other shoulder. Now some people will go all the way back and continue that way, but for a lot of people that's too rough on their neck, so you don't always have to go back. You can just switch to the other side and continue.
Very nice.
Nice.
So did you see, so perfect where she showed,
Yeah.
you know, here's where, because otherwise people might be here, right? Which is just a variation, but it's good to be like, okay, here, this is what, and the head roll is a perfect example because if you just tell people do a head roll, they're yanking their chin up to the, you know, dropping their head back forcefully.
And you'll see so many permutations of a neck rolling. You will see, take the ear to the shoulder and everything goes back like this. Or take the ear to the shoulder and the chin drops towards the shoulder. Because the sternocleidomastoid is so over sensitized and stiff, it won't contract. This is a stretch, this is a contraction. And so this contraction has to be able to happen in a relaxed way, because it's shortening these muscles.
So good, thank you. Yeah, very nice. This is fun. I could watch you guys teach instead of like TV any day. It's really entertaining. I'm like, I need popcorn. I need popcorn. I'm all excited.
Everybody come over.
I know.
Sit in my house and just. Okay, everyone, if you could please bring your attention to me. I want to show you the proper way of doing a lunge. You want to make sure that your knee is directly over the ankle, not over your foot or behind too far, and you want to make sure you're able to see your toes. And you want to sit up straight, have a long back, looking forward, shoulders back.
Yeah, perfect. Love it. I love the use of the word attention. Bring your attention here. You know, follow me, watch this, something like that.
Because the reason you'll want to do that is because you'll see a room full of people, and you want to like nail one person particularly, but you might as well just show all of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you, and here a big reason, and you did a perfect example, is because you don't want somebody to hurt themselves.
Right.
And if you just demonstrate it and you're like giving the directions, and you look at the person and they're still not doing it, you have to stop and say, watch this. Look at this. Oh, this is exciting. I want to share this with you. Right? The knee needs to be over the ankle, not in front of it, because we want to protect the knee. Perfect. Very well done. Nice. Thank you. Love it. So, Lisa Ann, everybody feel like they could go back? Has anybody had anything heavy? Are we okay to do a little bit more asana? Go into asana, some easier things? Is that okay with everybody? Okay.
Sort of easier.
Sort of easier. Starting easier.
Either make sure you have a blanket or make sure you have a block in case you might need it.
I think everybody should also grab a belt.
Belt, yes. Oh, I totally forgot I have belts. I'm too hard to access. I have a purple belt. I can grab it.
Should we get out our toolbox?
Yeah, why don't we pull out?
Yeah, why don't you pull out your toolbox?
I'm opening it with an orange page.
34.
34.
I'm gonna start with, and I don't even know if this one's in here. I'm gonna start with Sukhasana, which is simple cross leg. So, start with your blanket or your block and sit on it. And then bring the legs out in a V. Not a big V, just a standard V. Take one hand and grab onto the inside of the knee pit and bend the knee and bring the ankle underneath the opposite knee. If you have knee issues, you might need to have another prop or blanket. Take the other hand under the opposite knee, bring it back, and try to bring the ankle underneath the opposite knee. So it's not, this is, watch me. It's not crossing at the ankles. It's not crossing into the groin. It's bringing the ankles under the opposite knee where the thighs are parallel to the floor or the knees are moving a little bit down. Does that make sense? So let me show a difference. And it's also another way of looking at it is you're crossing mid-shin. So you're not crossing ankle, you're not crossing knee, you're crossing mid-shin. And another way of thinking about it or looking at it is when you're in the pose, the ankles are hidden by the knees. You can't see the ankles when you look down. The feet are flexed. So this would be a more classical alignment for Sukhasana, simple cross leg.
This is hard. I've always found this one to be really hard.
Yeah.
When I've done this one, I usually want to either prop up one knee or the other. It's just one of those poses that's never quite worked for me.
Try the other side. So open up the legs in a V. It kind of gives you the right configuration. And whichever leg you put first, go the opposite leg first. Draw it back. And then do the other leg. Bring the ankles under the knees, feet flexed. Look at the shins, cross mid-shins. So the other way to look at this is it's also knees not splayed out, right? I mean, they're not parallel to each other, but they're more parallel than if you sit with the, like, letting your ankles cross. Does that make sense? Do you see the difference there? Yeah. Feet flexed. Yeah. Sukhasana. I remember this because su, casa in Spanish would be your house. So I remember this is like the house foundation pose, seated pose, Sukhasana.
I was looking at Light Pranayama, and he explains how to sit in Padmasana, feet up. And part of it is that if you've got that right foot into the crux here, I can't bring my left leg up. It just won't let me. I get one foot up. But if I did get it up, this knee would not touch the ground. That was one of the corrections that I'd never ever noticed before. I always felt that the knees rested on the ground, and they don't. one leg floats, the other one rests on the ground. One below rests on the ground. So this one would actually drop if I brought this ankle up onto this crux in my groin here. So Sukhasana is really like the preparatory pose. If somebody's really trying to get into Padmasana, I'm just miserable. Like this. I feel all the pressure on the back of my calf from my shin bone, because my shin bone's so pointy. And my shin bone is like a razor blade, and it's probably a good meridian for me to hit, but I get fidgety. It really does get uncomfortable for me. So,
Bound angle pose?
bound angle pose. And we get to do quite a few different variations of it. So it's page 34. Vada. Vada. Bound, firm, restrained. Ankle. Or konasana. Posture. So this pose it starts with the soles of the feet together. And in the beginning, I would just consider the distance of the heels and the pubic bone in a neutral way. If you need the blanket to sit on or you need that block to sit on, get it underneath you so that it allows your back to be tall. This pose is also known as cobbler's pose, which is not mentioned in here. And what it is that the reason it's called cobbler's pose is because when people worked on shoes and sandals, they would hold the wood that was allowing them to form the shoe with their feet, and that's why this was cobbler's pose, because everything was done on, you sat on the ground, you didn't stand at a table or sit at a stool, you're on the ground. And then the other version is that you would open up the soles of the feet as if you would read the pages of the book. Okay? Because that's the other version of this is that you're reading a book, but your back is very tall. And the traditional way of doing this pose is that the feet stay open, and then you lean forward with a very, very, very flat back. And it's almost as if you lay your heart right into the book's pages. So it's not your forehead goes into it, it's that your heart lays down into the pages of the book. Some people's elbows press and prop against the legs. Tight hips and buttocks. Just work straight spine, because that's going to benefit people more than letting them collapse in this pose. If they need their knees, if their knees go here, you're going to need to prop them up. Annalisa's already got it set up that way. You can do it with blankets, you can do it with the blocks. The blocks have little sharp edges like my shins, so that can be a little uncomfortable for people that are not used to having that edge right there. And the work is here. It's right here, and maybe they lean forward just a little tiny bit. And you can see when my back starts to collapse, I'm reading into the book, I'm moving forward. And basically what it is this is such a deep, intense stretch on my inner thighs. If I was going to go any further, I would start to hurt, because the inner thighs are dictating just how much stretch my upper back wants to go. I would rather have people stay tall and straight and let that inner thigh open up.
Does anybody have sharp discomfort in with the crease between the leg and the torso? Yeah. Anybody else? So that's an anatomical thing. It's not tight hips. So the variation for that is Malasana legs. So step the feet apart. Everybody can try this. Slide the feet out a little bit. The belly goes between the thighs. Slide the hands down towards the feet, chin into the chest. And then roll yourself up. Because when you do Baddha Konasana with a forward fold, you would, obviously, I mean, it is an inner thigh stretch, but you would also be able to access the low back and release the low back. Antoinette and I both have the same anatomical issue here, and the only way you can't access it because of how the bones fit together in the hips. So it's to go into malasana and go down here, and then we can get a nice opening into the back. Does that make sense?
Is that the same limitation as a lateral forward? Where
Yeah.
people just can't go
Yeah.
any deeper. They never
Well,
will.
and you can tell right away, because if somebody sits down on their sit bones and they do this, they ain't gonna be doing a flat back stretch. They need to be able to lift that back up and experience their back being long and these muscles contracting a little and then pushing maybe a little bit more and keeping the back long. And again, the neck just sort of is that extension. When I play with this variation, what do you call this one again?
Malasana. It's malasana variation.
I press my arms right into my knees and my shins. So I'm actually pressing my arms. My shoulders may come up in the beginning, but I'm trying to keep my shoulder on my back. So this also changes the leverage. This pose, right now, this pose for me is very active. I'm using my underarms, I'm using my chest, I'm working the barrel breath so that I'm actually making some space and elongation there. Because again, this is so normal for most people to collapse this way that if you're gonna give them the juice of the yoga, you have to give them you have to give them a little tiny bit of stretch before you actually just let them fall into their usual position. And also, I've been actually conducting classes without letting people curve. I would rather put people on their backs to keep their backs long so that they have this whole experience of the back being long and then maybe twisting instead of collapsing. That's where I've been lately when I've been teaching. Because I'm seeing it too much. I'm seeing it in retired people, how everything is just being dragged forward. And I want to help them find a way out of that as much as possible, because that barrel breath will strengthen the core. And you don't have to do abdominals to get that core stronger and getting that breath up into that chest area, because everything's sort of pumping hydraulically. Go ahead now and feel free to lie down. To take a little break here. Lie down, bend your knees, and let the knees fall open, and soles of the feet come together there. Now, if your arms are down by your sides, just notice how much of your back is against the ground. Is all of your back on the ground, or is there a little hollow space in the lumbar? Are you breathing chest and lower belly a little bit? This is a good place to do that. And if you find that it's so tight on the inner groin close to the pubic bone, or those muscles on that inner thigh are tight, this would be a reason to pull blankets or a block in to prop the thigh up. How about you, Anton? Is that tight in there? Can you actually relax there, or are you?
That's relaxed, very much.
Yeah. Relax means that when you're in this pose, you're not fidgeting. You're not like going, God, I wish I could get more comfortable. The other imagery that I would use is that if somebody's really fidgeting, you bring the floor to their thighs. So that's why you fold or use the block. Bring the floor closer to their thighs. Because then what happens is these inner thigh muscles get to soften, they get to relax. And the breath gets to move a little bit more freely. take a moment and stretch the arms up in front of your chest and then slowly reach them behind you. And just notice what this does to your back. Your lower back should curve a little bit more. You can flatten it, but again, that's going to create tension on the inner thigh. So if you're going to create that tension, I want you to breathe into it. Take another moment with breath and the arms overhead. And then bring your arms back down. Stroke the sides of your thighs. Let your knees come back together. And separate the feet for a moment so that the knees rest inward and that inner thigh gets to relax. And just breathe. More of your back should be on the floor now. Lower back might sink very easily into the floor. And then roll over to your left side. You are going to want to have a blanket. This is the one where you...
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I've never done this one correctly.
Press yourself up to seated. So this is the topic of props in some poses. This is really great for restorative classes, and it's using a blanket. So everybody make sure that you have a blanket. I might share mine with you, Anton.
Okay.
So this is also where folding blankets properly comes into place. You want your blanket to be folded this way.
That's hamburger.
Like a hamburger?
Hamburger bun.
Like a hamburger bun fold. Well, I wouldn't know.
Long ways from hot dog this week.
Or a toasted cheese sandwich on one piece of bread.
So the soles of the feet come together, and why I really like this is it's so nice when it's cold out and your feet are cold, and you want to be in a relaxing pose, but it's like you want your feet to be warm. So I'll show you how to do it on yourself, and then I'll show you how to do it on someone else. So with my folded blanket like so, I do like a little bit of like a, I want to call it a strudel. I do a little accordion fan. I do a little fan over my toes, and I like to tuck it in right over my toes. Then these edges, you lift up the knees, and you bring the edges underneath the thighs. Yeah. Okay. So now when I lay down, I might bring my knees up a little bit, and I'll scoot my buttocks towards my heels, lower myself down to my elbows all the way down, and then I can lift my knees up again and shove the blanket a little bit more even towards my buttocks. And this is like heaven as far as I'm concerned.
Does that support your thighs a little bit more, Anton?
Yeah.
And then your toes are like little cozy, warm, like snug as bugs in a rug. I love it. It feels so good. To come out of the pose, you lift the knees up, push the tail ends of the blanket out, roll over to the side, and press yourself up. Now, how do you do it to someone else? I'll demonstrate on Miss Ann. So, she's in, go ahead and lay down. So for this, usually the person is laying down, and I'm going to come around to them. Uh-oh. So then I start with the blanket between us, and I start with the bottom fold I put over their toes. I do a little accordion fold. Then I bring it around under their buttocks or thighs, and then sometimes I'll make sure that one toe isn't being left. Okay? Make sense? Try it with your partner. One of you down, the other one up.
You guys are doing great.
Okay, so you start with your folded blanket, your hamburger bun blanket. Start with the blanket on their toes. You make sure you cover their toes up. And then you go ziggy zaggy, ziggy zaggy.
Who'd have thought I'd be doing laundry so big?
And then really you have to bring it around and you really have to squish it underneath their buttocks, their
Nice.
thighs. And so it's tight.
Is that good or tighter?
Tighter. Like you're tucking corners on a bed.
But would you tell them if you want to make your
Yes.
a little further fold it in?
Yeah, you can, exactly. Yeah,
Nice.
switch.
I feel like I want to do
I
this
like
as
this
stars
new
at
little-
night. And just tell ghosts, stories.
Exactly.
Well, you don't suck at laying down.
This is really a pampering thing if you have students and it's, a cold day, you want to warm up their toes.
Yeah, this might be a really good remedy for you.
And then you can do that adjustment instead of me shoving it.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. That's awesome.
good, nice. And release. And then roll over to your side. And come up.
The thing that I just want to stress is keep the spinal column long until you see people like ready to they've been breathing there, and then let them do a forward fold in Baddha Konasana. Oh, and there's one more variation for this, for Baddha Konasana. I've used Baddha Konasana forward fold and then walk the hands to one side. And you get a lateral forward fold bend. Now, the big deal here is that people will do this. This tush will come off the ground. So let them do it, but then see if you can get them to weight it back to the ground. It may mean that they have to move their hands. But they should either be getting a stretch right on the haunch here, or, because some people will turn this into a very deep twist, and I can't do that. It's not enjoyable for me. But some people will go there, and you just have to sort of oh, this is the move I'm going to do. Everybody do the pose, and just rest in that on that side. Forward fold, and then go to your right. There you go. So, the move that I'm going to do is I'm going to put my hand on your left thigh so that you stay weighted down. So if you have a small group of people, you can do this grounding of their left hip into the ground. It makes the stretch a lot more. And with a man, you do the same thing, but you may end up using your opposite hand so your fingers don't come in too close. I think women were a little more used to it. And when a man does this, it's the same thing as they're looking for how to appropriately touch. And then come back through center and go for the other side. And what you may want to do after I've touched you is watch the way I'm using my body to do this on somebody else.
Stationary.
And see, Anton's not even doing the side bend because this is probably sufficient for him. And what I'm doing is I'm taking a really wide stance. It's almost like I'm doing a big wide chair pose or a wide horse pose, but my body is supported. I'm not letting my chest and my back collapse because it'll waste your energy if you do something like that. And you can pay attention to the person's breath. Did everybody try that one? Or you want to go on to the next?
Well, one of the sequences that I really like is Baddha Konasana to reverse tabletop. It's one of my favorites for especially at the end of class. So from Baddha Konasana, I always direct people, because we're relaxing the inner groin, we're doing like, many times a forward fold, or we're opening this up, not to just bring the knees together, because that's when we have injuries, when we've really relaxed and stretched something, and then all of a sudden we try to use it. So instead, bring your hands to the outsides of your knees. Bring your knees together. Step your feet about hip width apart. Bring your hands back behind you. Classically, the fingertips are pointed in the same direction as your toes. However, some of us, our wrists don't work like that. We have to turn the hands out a little bit. Okay? Bring the hands underneath the shoulders, lift the hips, bring the knees over the ankles, so you may have to make a little bit of an adjustment. Lift the hips and try to come to a reverse tabletop position. Lisa Ann's demonstrating using blocks. Lift from the heart. Find a soft place for your head and neck. A lot of people throw their head back here. Try to find a comfortable place, or even tuck the chin into the chest, a neutral position that feels comfortable for you. Lift the hips a little bit higher. Send the breath into the belly, into the front body, and then release. Bring the buttocks back down to the ground. Soles of the feet together. Back to Baddha Konasana.
Oh, yeah, and it does allow your inner thigh to relax a little bit.
Yeah. One of my favorite sequences. Do it again. Hands to the outsides of the knees. Knees come together. Step the feet hip width apart. Slide the hands back behind you. Lift the hips up. There's a lot of variations that you can do here from this pose. Bring the hips down, soles of the feet together, knees apart. One of my favorite variations is actually, watch me, get it? Hands back behind, soles of the feet here. I like to bring one leg up into a, like a thread the needle position, and then lift up here.
She also aligned her heel with the inner line of that thigh. So if you did this pose and you tried to do it with the foot out of alignment to the hip, it would be really hard. You want to be able to have that.
So this is my intermediate type variation with this. Yeah, try it too. So what you have to do is you have to create space between the belly and the foot to bring it around. So if my knee's up here, it's not going to work. So you have to have your feet out a little bit, slide the ankle, and it's a flexed foot at the top meaty part of the knee, and then you can slide that bottom foot in a little bit, press into the hands, lift the hip. This is one of my favorites. It's like a stretch and a strength builder at once. And release. Now, uncross and then try the other side. This does not work for people with wrist issues, wrist weaknesses sometimes. It's too much on the wrists.
It's really interesting. I've been having wrist soreness, and for a while there I was doing things on my fists, but then it just transferred into my knuckles. It could be just the dance my body's doing, but you could do it on fists, you can do it on fingers, and again, the blocks are another alternative.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead up if you haven't gone up already. Feel that difference. And release. Go back to Baddha Konasana. So there's a bunch of other variations that I've seen before, and let's play around with a few of these. Sometimes people like to just bring the legs straight out. Sometimes they like to try to reach it up to the ceiling, right? So give it a try. Hands go down, knees come up, lift up. You might have to try to move your feet closer together, and then just straighten one leg out, and then see if you can reach it up. Woo! Lift the buttocks, go the other way. Hello, thigh, right? Woo! All the way up. Yeah.
Yeah, the first step, one step.
Breathe. Hello. Bring it down. Now bring it down and just shift your weight back and forth. Bring it towards the toes and then bring it back towards the heel of the hand. Feel the difference. This is a good preparation for handstand because it gives you a sense of weight into the fingertips in this bend, in this extreme flex of the wrist. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Antoine's giving me funny faces.
I don't know.
Well, because you're building strength in the arms,
Mhm.
and you're doing an extreme fold. It's the same thing as if I want to practice doing like arm balances from plank, and I shift my weight forward, so I start to feel the weight into the heel of the hand.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
And reverse plank, and the actual version of reverse plank, where if the legs start straight, you start to push down. I'm actually going to have to inch my toes forward. This is reverse plank. I'm doing this on blocks because I don't think I could pull it off any other way right now. And I'm reaching my toes, and my heels are on the ground, and then I'm sitting it back down again.
Give it a try.
And give it a try, and then definitely come back to Baddha Konasana and see if your Baddha Konasana has changed. Bring those inner ankles together. Okay. There we go. Relax your jaw. Yeah, just look at this. How's the Baddha Konasana feel? Does it feel a little different?
More of a
It's a little
relaxing
more
pose.
freedom. Because now you're activating all the buttocks that push this way, and these muscles have to tighten up. So it's taking the onus off that inner thigh, so the inner thigh has a little bit more of a chance to become more like silly putty because it gets warmed up. So that's why it's kind of cool to put a stabilization pose next to a hip opener. They're calling these hip openers, but if you work the stabilization, you have to tighten up a bunch of muscles, and then when you want to do that bound ankle butterfly pose, all of a sudden it's like there's a lot more freedom. So doing it once this way, and then putting in the stabilization poses gives people a chance to go, wow, there's a change. Which I think is really important, is for people to experience a change in a pose.
So I want to teach one of my favorite poses, one of my, what I consider to be a foundation pose, and that is knee into the chest. It is highly important that this is something, in my opinion, that you include in almost every class you teach. It teaches so many elements that are of benefit to the body, and it is simple and almost everybody can do it, okay? So it sounds easy, you're like, hey, one knee in, one leg straight, but there's a lot going on and a lot of benefit. This is page 31 of your toolbox. Who wants to be my demonstrator?
I will.
Let one of them, you always get to be my demonstrator.
But I'll
Yes.
go back to reclining body.
So come up here. Yeah,
There's no more cider, right? No more cider.
No, I kindly
I know.
exited him. So come to reclining and bend the knees into the chest. So what this pose teaches us when we are there, so first of all, let me clarify. There are two ways to do this pose. There's a relaxing way to do it, and there's an active way to do it, right? So relaxing would be hold on to the right knee, lengthen the left leg, and just let it rest on the ground, right? So both legs are finding a restful position, and the right hip is relaxing. Everybody see that? Okay.
Are your shoulders relaxed?
Yes, let me check. Let me wiggle around a little bit. Okay. Now bring both knees back into the chest. Go to the other side. Okay. Relax, resting. Bring both knees into the chest. Now the second way is that we're actually trying to find space in a pose for relaxing and being active at the same time. And I think that this is really a critical principle to learn about asana and physical practice, because you can't be like a rock in every single pose efforting to your maximum. You have to find space, and where can I relax, where can I be active? So this is the pose to introduce this idea. So bring your hands to the right knee, lengthen the left leg, activate the left leg, press through the ball of the foot, keep the leg strong, and press the thigh towards the ground. Now relax the right hip. Work on relaxing the right hip, lengthening and activating the left leg. So it's two completely different movements, ideas, awarenesses at the same time. Soften the jaw. It's always soften the jaw. Okay? Okay? How can I tell if she's activating? Is I can touch the thigh and see if it's engaged. I can also look at the foot and see if I see the foot is alive or soft and sleepy. Okay? Same thing with here. I can say, relax this foot. Right? Activate this one. Okay. Bring both knees into the chest. Try the other side. Press through the ball of that right foot. Another thing you can even do here is you can put your foot here. Press my foot away. Press my leg away. So she's really working on this leg. Then you add, soften the left hip. Relax the foot. Relax the throat. The only thing that's really which is active is that extended right leg. Okay. And release both knees into the chest. Okay? Now, this is also a foundation pose for Padangusthasana, Supta Padangusthasana, which is have your hands on the right knee, lengthen the left leg, activate the left leg. Lasso the ball of the right foot. We did this, right? Yeah. Hold on to it and press the foot straight up to the ceiling. Not towards your nose, straight up, pressing the ball of the foot away, right? So the knee into the chest is the foundation, the beginning of this pose, right? But in itself is very, very important. Now doing this pose in many yoga traditions helps to neutralize the spine. So especially the low back, if you've been doing a class that's intense on the back area, this is a great pose to do at the end of class. The knee into the chest helps relax the low back, and then you can also add the extended leg. Now let go of the belt and just hold on to the thigh here. That's the variation if you don't have time to get the belt out and you're trying to end class, which happens to me. I'm always like, I'm running out of time. Right? Okay, do the other leg. Anything to add on this one, Lisa Ann? You want to add the abdominal? Up.
Yeah, do the stretch this leg out.
So let it go a little bit. So do you see where her knee is? It's bent here. So the leg has to come out, press through the foot, lengthening the leg, right there.
The only thing that I would add is, in this pose, you can push through the heel, but you can also push through the ball of the foot as if you were standing on your toes. And the strap is interesting because you push the ball of the foot against that strap and you pull your toes back towards your shin. And you're standing on your toes. So it becomes quite a few different movements. Yeah.
And release. Very nice. Thank you very much. Okay, Miss Ann.
Actually stay down there on the floor. Pull your left knee into your chest. There you go. Now take your hands and just reach towards your foot. And let your head, no gripping, just reach towards this foot. Reach towards it. And bring your forehead towards that knee. So this is where this can become an abdominal. Every time she exhales, she can pull her belly towards the ground. It's also a really nice stretch in that the thoracic part of the back where the curve starts. That's a nice stretch also. Release it back, take a breath, hold the knee, and then again, just reach towards that foot.
Yeah. Very nice. Everybody try it. So you're going to do one knee in, other leg out, sleepy leg, both legs relaxed. Do both sides. Then you do knee in and the other leg very active while you're releasing the hip.
Keep your strap close at hand if you'd like to use your strap.
Go both sides, take a breath or two, find that space. Notice, sorry, we get so excited about it. Notice how the low back feels. Make sure the shoulders are relaxed.
Activate those toes. Play with your foot a little bit in this pose. Let's say you were holding on to the knee that you're holding on to, but you were standing on that left foot. Would you be able to rise up on the ball of your foot? Just an exploration, standing on those toes. Go ahead and switch your legs.
Back to the pose.
And again, explore this foot on this side and notice your lower back. Notice where your shoulders are at. Is your jaw tight? Is your neck tight? Let your gaze soften a little in your eyes. Focus more energy into that lower half of the body. It has a chance to extend itself and make some space.
We actually did this one.
Yeah, we did. We did that one. With some variations. And then if you want to grab your strap, is it the strap? Yeah. Put that strap on one foot. We'll let you go momentarily.
Practice it with the strap.
Practice it with the strap just so that you're aware of, are you pulling the foot towards your face or is it straight out of its hip? Because you'll be able to energize the leg that's on the floor if you're not having to pull that leg towards your face. Watch your jaw, Denise. Some people are shoulder tensioners, other people are jaw tensioners. We make faces. When you give somebody the chance to surrender the mask that they're wearing and let it loosen, sometimes a pose can change drastically just by changing that.
Make sure you go to the other leg if you haven't already.
And if you haven't pushed through the ball of the foot on that strap, think of that toe reaching. Get a tiny bit of resistance there.
With the strap on the ball of the foot, so going from the knee to chest pose to the one with the strap, this is really critical for beginners, building strength in the legs and flexibility in the hamstrings, and also it is of huge benefit to the low back. This pose cannot be underestimated.
Because this pose is also Warrior 3. Right? It's Warrior 3, so you want to have an awareness of not just the heel, but the ball of the foot and the spreading of the toes and taking up as much floor space as possible with that foot that's in the air, because it would be on the ground. I think they want to rest.
Well, try the knee into the chest and then lift the chin up.
And reach towards your feet.
Yeah, reach towards your feet, your foot.
Relax your jaw, Tom. Is that 3 Stooges noise?
Should we be relaxing this foot or flexing it?
I think you can do both. You can explore both. If you're interested in exploring both, have your students explore both.
Try both sides.
You guys have done a lot today.
Yeah. When you're done, take a rest. You can be in Supta Baddha Konasana. You can be in Shavasana.
You want that one. Who wants to blanket in Baddha Konasana under their thighs?
Related to that, are you wiggling your fingers?
Yes.
This is yes. I'm like an expert blanket cozier for this.
Jasmine, take your glasses off, put them on your belly button.
Anybody else?
Anton, drop the strap.
Sorry.
That's your pattern breaker.
That was bossy.
that was bossy girl.
That's
Came up.
That's bossy, and that's your pattern breaker. So when you're in the middle of something like that. Om. The most sacred syllable, the first sound of the Almighty, the sound from which emerges each and every other sound, whether of music or of language. In the Upanishads, the sacred syllable appears as a mystic sound, regarded by the scriptures as the very basis of every other sacred mantra. It is a sound not only of the origin, but of disillusion. The past, the present, the future, and all are included in this one sound. Even all that transcends this configuration of time is also implied in syllable represents the two Turi triad of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiv, or Shiva. Shiv's drum produced the sound and through it came the notes of the octaves Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Da, Mi. Thus the sound Shiv creates and recreates the universe. Om is also the sound form of Atman, which every individual has this guide, this guru, Atman, who possess it. Uttering the sacred syllable Om, the psychotherapeutic efficacy of Om is deemed limitless, and its utterance redeems all errors in the performance of a sacrifice. Meditation on Om satisfies every need and ultimately leads to liberation. Nearly all the prayers and recitals of sacred passages are prefaced by the utterance of Om. Its equivalent is Omkar, venerated in the same manner and is thought to be the representation of God Himself, personally. Musically, it is also held that the term Om or Om, A-U-M, is made up of three bass notes. Ah, When one pronounces these notes in continuity, all the basic notes from Sa to Mi also sound. When one pronounces Om correctly, all the basic sounds also echo. It is believed to be the traditional way of clearing all the impediments of the vocal cords to make one chant the hymn correctly. Their unison makes one not only sounds sonorous, but also acts as the necessary preparation to chant a mantra, incantation correctly. It's one of the reasons that all Vedic mantra has Om or Om as the first term. So whenever you see the letters O and M, they can be pronounced as A, R, U, U, M. While you're resting here on the ground, just take a deep breath in, let that breath move out through your lips. Just let it go. And then take another breath in, and let that sound, those utterance sounds, connect with your vocal cords. Just notice the sensations that the body's giving you right now. Letting that sound vibrate outside the skin, letting the breath continue to flow inward and outward. Move the body, move the head. Let the facial muscles stretch a bit, the finger, and toes stretch a bit. Do one move of the chest at a time, if that makes sense for you. If you need to be here on the floor, I completely understand. Anything that serves you at this particular moment, stretch out, do something. And if you're willing to at some point go to one side and sit back up, and do one long seated hold. I have to share just something really personal. I can't drink alcohol anymore. And this wine walk really got me going. These bones gave me the same sensation as this. Because I got that like warm flash of
Namaste.
Namaste. I don't know if anybody else felt that. That was
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So next is an online class. I'll see everybody Monday. Right?
You betcha.